SCDN. We don't do the news in the same old way because it's not the same old world.
A short while ago in the Oval Office, President Trump signed two crucial executive actions to deal with the emergency crime conditions we currently face in the District of Columbia. The first of these was an executive order, as President Trump said before, invoking his powers under Section 40 of the Home Rule Act to take federal control of the D.C. Metropolitan Police Department.
Oh boy, what a day. What a day. We released this morning when it first came out, and now we're going to give you some updates and reactions to what is going on. We also want to let you know that our new studio is under construction, so we have the audio and the other elements, but we don't have the background yet, so bear with us. And we are going to dig into not only the news of the day of Trump taking over the DC police, but we have lots of reaction, as you can imagine. So let's first start with the main announcement. So here we go, main announcement.
It changes today. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Jim.
You're welcome.
Great job. Thank you. If I could, I just signed some executive orders. I'd like to have Will please come up and we'll let the people know what we signed. Do you want to put them down?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
A short while ago in the Oval Office, President Trump signed two crucial executive actions to deal with the emergency crime conditions we currently face in the District of Columbia. The first of these was an executive order, as President Trump said before, invoking his powers under Section 40 of the Home Rule Act to take federal control of the D.C. Metropolitan Police Department. Along with that executive order, President Trump signed the statutorily required notification letters to Mayor Bowser and to the relevant House and Senate committee leaders. The second major executive action that President Trump signed was a presidential memorandum directing the Secretary of Defense to utilize the National Guard to address the conditions we see on our streets here in D.C. It also authorized the Secretary of Defense to work with state governors to utilize their National Guard units if necessary as well. These are bold, decisive steps intended to combat the out-of-control crime conditions we've seen on D.C.'s streets for far too long. And I, for one, am deeply proud to be part of an administration that's finally coming to terms with these issues, sir.
Okay, so that is the first clip, and I am telling you what, we'll start with what we reported on this morning just to get some of you caught up. This is a firestorm here. And the reason why, twofold. Number one, that the District of Columbia is now being federalized. So the best and most recent point of reference is we go back to the LA riots earlier in this summer when the California State National Guard was mobilized. And we're going to get to this in a second. California State National Guard was federalized against a lot of cry out and upset rants from Gavin Newsom, the governor, and they were brought into LA, and it seemed to make the riots escalate badly. The issue is, and this is something that the mainstream media is not going to report, the issue is they were only there to protect one building, the federal building. Now, on this main area, you have the in LA we're talking about. We have the LA City building, correctional facility, and the federal building. Now, those National Guard were there for one building, the federal building. Then they called up the military to assist because the protest just exploded. If you remember, they were blocking the freeway multiple times. And so the military was brought in again for one building. They were not policing the streets, they were protecting one building. And the people went crazy. Finally, the mayor instituted a curfew. And once that curfew was in place, we saw a drastic reduce in the crime. And we followed that each night. We were doing live streams of LA night after night after night. So this this looks similar to that. So what is happening is the federal government is seizing control of the DC Metropolitan Police. In addition to that, they are putting in National Guards and even possibly military. So the question becomes, if they can do this in DC, what's keeping them? And they mentioned this in the press conference, that they are also looking at the sanctuary cities, New York, Chicago, back to LA, and up in Portland. And Portland is having some really rough times right now. So if they think it works in DC, it's likely they'll go to Portland because that is active right now. There's serious protesting going on in Portland. And then remember, the mayoral race in New York City is coming up. That candidate, who is right now, favored to win, is a communist. Don't kid yourself. Not a socialist. He's a communist. So we are going to, we're really going to keep our eyes on that. We're going to go over some of the reaction that has happened since our initial broadcast. But first, I need to play you the second clip. So let's hear the second clip.
I've got two questions for you. First, about DC. This is personal for me as well. Last year, I was robbed on the streets by one of these teenage thugs. Had a gun, got away with it. Let's talk about the effort that between law enforcement, prosecutors, and judges, because it's a recycling belt. Like, these kids go, they don't fear the police. They know it. If you talk about how we've got to get these judges and put these kids behind bars, adult crimes deserve adult penalties.
Adult crimes deserve adult penalties. This is from a reporter there in the room. His face is familiar, but the outlet escapes me right now. But he was giving a firsthand account of how he was mugged in D.C. So apparently he will be writing a news report, certainly in favor of this, based on his personal experience. Let's watch this last clip, and then let's move into the comments, because this is fun. All right, here's our final clip.
You're going to be so important here. You're going to be that guy. I hope I don't have to fire him in 2 weeks because he's too soft. I don't think he's too soft. If I do, I will, though. Is it okay if you're soft, weak, and pathetic like so many people? I will fire you.
If you're soft, weak, and pathetic, you are going to get fired. He was talking to the new person who is a federal employee that will be, in essence, the new chief of police in Washington, D.C. So that is what's coming up. And for those of you just joining, our studio is under construction. We have the other things working, but the studio, so just please bear with us. So let's go to the comments that have come in since all this broke, and we brought you this story earlier today. So let's take a look at the first one here together. Backpack Wayne, he says, it's all a bullshit distraction. Washington, D.C. has seen declining crime rates in recent years, with violent crime hitting a 30-year low in 2024. Okay, thank you, Backpack Wayne. Here's another one. I love this username is so unique. Cerebral Parsley. Trump has been wanting to take over DC since his first term, and this could easily be fake to give him an excuse. I'm not sure this could also always be fake. I'm not sure what the fakeness is. Certainly from that pool reporter chiming in, his experience wasn't fake. So let's see what else we have here. The Washington, D.C. Attorney General described the administration's actions as, quote, unnecessary and unlawful. And I want to hear your comments. What do you think about this? And more importantly, is what's going to happen in D.C. effective this morning going to promote civil unrest? Will there be riots? The next thing we have to look at is if they think, not if we think, we the people have very little say. All right, let's just be honest. But if they think they are being successful, will they be emboldened to then go after those sanctuary cities that they clearly said they wanted to in this press conference? Okay, let's go to our next one. Civil rights leader Al Sharpton called this move a discriminatory affront to a majority black city. In contrast, DC Police Union says they acknowledge and support Trump's decision temporarily. That's a big word. So they're okay for the short term, but they eventually want their city back and not under martial law. So we'll see what happens with that. Let's go to apple bottom beans. Apple bottom beans. This is interesting. The Constitution's Take Care Clause, some of you might want to look this up. The Constitution's Take Care Clause obligates the president to take care of the laws being faithfully executed. So therefore, a federal takeover of policing in the Capitol isn't an overreach. It's not an overreach. What do you think? Is this an overreach? Is this something that we're going to have to be reporting on protests and violence and oh man, and then the big question, is this going to be something that will move into other cities? So let us know your thoughts. We appreciate those that brought in comments throughout the day, and we will continue to follow the story, especially into this evening. If there are any protests, we'll certainly be covering that live here on the channel. And so now for the fun part of our little show. We love this, and it's called Find the News Bunny. Find the News Bunny. So here we go. We're going to show you the News Bunny. There he is. Hey, News Bunny. What city is the News Bunny in? What city is the News Bunny in? Oh, man. This is so awesome. All right, so I'm going to give you some hints. There's the News Bunny. Okay, let's do some hints. The News Bunny. Hint number one. Let me know where you think. What city is the News Bunny in? Hint number one. Nearly half of all Americans live within a 600-mile radius of me. Perfectly central. That is your first hint. What city is the News Bunny in? Here's your next hint. Once named the buggy capital of the world, for my buggy factories in the 19th century. So, come on. That should help. Next one. Oh, here we go. Around here, you'll find more fashion designers per capita than nearly anywhere. In fact, this city is behind only New York and LA. So it's the number three fashion designer capital in the country. And the final clue you get, this is such an interesting. I've managed to never lose population ever. So this city has never lost population, which is saying a lot compared to lots of our towns and cities across the country, including the town that we are broadcasting from. All right, so we're going to get out of here. All right, so we're going to play it one more time for those who are joining us. This is what has happened.
It changes today. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Jim.
You're welcome.
Great job. Thank you. If I could, I just signed some executive orders. I'd like to have Will please come up and we'll let the people know what we signed. Do you want to put them down?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
A short while ago in the Oval Office, President Trump signed two crucial executive actions to deal with the emergency crime conditions we currently face in the District of Columbia. The first of these was an executive order, as President Trump said before, invoking his powers under Section 40 of the Home Rule Act to take federal control of the D.C. Metropolitan Police Department. Along with that executive order, President Trump signed the statutorily required notification letters to Mayor Bowser and to the relevant House and Senate committee leaders. The second major executive action that President Trump signed was a presidential memorandum directing the Secretary of Defense to utilize the National Guard to address the conditions we see on our streets here in D.C. It also authorized the Secretary of Defense to work with state governors to utilize their National Guard units if necessary as well. These are bold, decisive steps intended to combat the out-of-control crime conditions we've seen on D.C.'s streets for far too long. And I, for one, am deeply proud to be part of an administration that's finally coming to terms with these issues, sir.
All right, there you go. The major breaking story of the day. And so let me know what you think. Will this be a nice, smooth transition? The police union seems to think it will be, but they emphasize they want it to be temporary. Also, are we going to see protests in D.C. over this? Probably. Scale and scope, who knows? But I'm sure they will intensify over the weekend. But we will be following those. Well, we'll be tracking those and following those. And if things get wacky, we will bring them to you just like we did the issue in LA. So let us know what you think. Is this an overreach? Will there be protests? And more importantly, if they think that this is a successful strategy, will we all see federalizing of police in, they called it out, sanctuary cities? They want to take over the police. So will we see martial law? I mean, they even talked about having FBI agents walking down the street along with the DC police. Now, the DC police has 3,500 officers. So how many assets are they going to deploy along with those 3,500 officers? We have yet to see, but they did say they are going to bring in the National Guard, and they will actually have FBI agents out on foot patrol. So this is a big deal, and started today. So tonight's the first night the federal government will be in charge of protecting the District of Columbia. Let us know your thoughts, and we will talk to you soon. Thank you so much.